Welcome to TRS Clips, where you'll find happiness through your own curiosity.
We have had this conflict in the Middle East, which is we know what happened. Hamas attacked Israel. I mean, that's what happened. I am a neutral, disinterested observer. I am just saying it as I saw it. Hamas attacked Israel. It's a very big question as to how this was allowed to happen. I mean, Israel has the best defenses in the world, the most state-of-the-art surveillance and espionage mechanisms in the world. They have Mossad, they have Shin Bet, internal, external intelligence, and yet they could not do anything when these Hamas terrorists cut those wires and brought the walls down with bulldozers and sent paratroopers on paragliders. I mean, what were the Israelis doing? So it looks like one could say, if one were naive, that this is the greatest intelligence failure in Israeli history, worse than the Yom Kippur War. But if you look a little bit deeper, it looks very suspicious and very fishy. Okay, so I don't know what exactly happened, but this happened. Hamas attacked Israel, Israel attacked Gaza, and we have a conflict that's smoldering. Hezbollah in Lebanon is also involved to some extent. The other Arabic nations are also, look, nations like Saudi Arabia actually want peace with Israel. They don't want a conflict in the Middle East. They are looking forward to development. The king of the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Mohammed bin Salman, has long-term plans of developing the nation, making it an ultra-modern nation. Why not? He has the resources, the money, the land. Why should he not do that? The UAE is an extremely forward-looking nation. They also want to develop the nation. They want to build more infrastructure. They want to have excellent ties with a variety of countries. So these nations, they desire peace. And yet you have this situation to their west, Israel, Gaza, there's Lebanon, Hezbollah involved, there's the West Bank of the River Jordan, which is between Jordan and Israel, there's the Golan Heights, so much happening there. So this is a new conflict that has suddenly emerged out of nowhere. And right now it's a major flashpoint. One hopes it doesn't escalate, but if it escalates, it can escalate to who knows where.
Where is the conflict going right now?
Oh, right now the conflict is kind of a frozen conflict. For now, it's a frozen conflict. There is no advancement of the lines. The lines on the map are kind of the same. There is a significant IDF presence in Gaza. They have bombed the hell out of certain parts of Gaza. There has been some military activity with Hezbollah, which is from southern Lebanon as well, between Israel and Hezbollah. Gaza, the Hamas has a tremendous number of very crude but effective missiles. They've built up those. They've built a large number of tunnels that the Israelis apparently were oblivious to. Hezbollah apparently has a lot of missiles. Then there's the Iranian factor. There's the Houthis in Yemen, who have suddenly acquired a large number of very sophisticated drones. There was a drone attack in Abu Dhabi. On the airport, they had to activate the Patriot missile defense systems. The thing is this, a drone will cost a couple of $1,000 maybe to acquire. That's the cost of this equipment. And to shoot that down, you need a missile that costs multiple millions of dollars.
We're seeing drone warfare for the first time in the human story.
Swarms of drones. That's what the future of warfare is like. And what's the response to that? Let's say you have an aircraft carrier. Okay, let's say you have an aircraft carrier of a large major nation. So this aircraft carrier will have defense systems, missile defense and other defense systems, anti-aircraft defense, anti-missile defense, anti-ballistic missile, anti-cruise missile. And it will have a ring of warships that are guarding it, destroyers and cruisers and all that. So it's a ring of defense systems. But it's just a numerical certainty. If you throw enough drones at them, it's going to hit. Now, what do you do with this multi-billion piece of equipment? It's so vulnerable. That's why aircraft carriers these days, they stay out of conflict zones. They stay at a distance, at a standoff distance. And they hope nobody launches a ballistic missile at them, because ballistic missiles travel at way more than hypersonic speeds. Ballistic missiles travel at re-entry speeds, 22, 23 Mach.
Why was there an attack in Abu Dhabi, according to you?
Because of Abu Dhabi. So, yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Because see, Abu Dhabi, the UAE is kind of a Western ally, even though it's now part of BRICS as well. But it's kind of a Western ally. The Americans have their own bases, kind of. You could say they have leased certain military bases in this country, including and in Saudi Arabia as well. So if you have the presence of American military equipment in a country, so some nations would see that as a fair target. Okay, so that's the sort of thing it is. And the Houthis, if you look at the history of Yemen, they have suffered tremendously for decades at the hands of the West. There's no other way of putting it. Horrific suffering that they have endured. The civilians have obviously borne the brunt of it. There was this conflict that's still kind of on between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, in which the Saudi Arabian forces were used to target Yemeni positions. There are various factions in Yemen. There's the Ansar Allah faction, the Houthis, and there's the other faction and all that. So it's pretty complicated. I'll not go into the details of that because that'll be a whole different story. But yeah, so the thing is this. Yemen, the Houthis, the Ansar Allah faction, they are supported allegedly by Iran. Okay? Hezbollah, again, allegedly supported by Iran. Gaza, who's that? The Hamas, again, Iran. And then you have elements in Syria, Mr. President al-Assad, who is, one could say, allegedly supported by Iran. There are groups in Iraq as well that are allegedly supported by Iran. Wherever you have the presence of Shiite elements, so we know how things are in Islam. I mean, it's very complicated, but if you look at it from a very, very far away perspective, it's Shia and Sunni. These are the two major sects of Islam. And Iran is a Shiite country. Okay, so wherever you have Shia populations, you're going to have some influence of Iran. That's typically, it's a very, if you were to explain to a 12-year-old, that's how you would explain. So some viewers may remember Mr. Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general who was taken out by the Americans in a drone strike. He was one of their chief agents, one could say, who would go to these countries and give them various kinds of support, whether it is logistical support or financial support or bring in arms, bring in fighters and so on. So there is this entire thing. And Iran, it has acquired recently, in the last 2-3 years, a very sizable Chinese investment, one would say apparently in excess or around the realms of $45 trillion. It's a 25-year strategic deal. And obviously, Russia also is involved. They are acquiring Shahed drones from Iran in their fight in Ukraine. So you can see this entire axis emerging, Iran, Russia, China. Now, we have the situation in Syria. Syria was overrun by ISIS, much of it. They were, a few kilometers from Damascus at some point in time. And Damascus would have fallen, Mr. al-Assad would have fallen, but for the intervention of Mr. Putin. So now Russia has entered the chat, you could say, and they have bolstered the government of Mr. al-Assad. They have a naval base, Latakia, I believe, and they have aircraft bases and so on also. So the Russians have stabilized Syria. They have prevented this nation from being overrun by Western proxies. So you have this complicated scenario in the Middle East. The Middle East is always in crisis, and the crisis is always orchestrated from somewhere far away. So that's that.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.